I am Montgomery County Council President Gabe Albornoz, and we are going to convene a meeting now of our Council's Audit Committee, and we will be reviewing the FY21 External Audit in Review by SB, and as well as discussing the company's contract renewal. So we will not be joined this morning by our colleague and friend, Councilmember Nancy Navarro, who's Chair of our Government Operations and Fiscal Policy Committee. But joining me this morning are my colleagues, Council Members Katz and Friedson. So with that, I'll turn it over to the team to walk us through the packet.
Hey, good morning. And also before I get started, I want to let you know that our Finance Director, Mike Coviu, is sick, and Grace Smith, the Managing Partner at SB & Company, is unable to attend as well. However, both of their excellent staffs are present to answer any questions about the audits. So basically what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to turn it over to Bill Seymour from SB & Company, and he's going to brief the Audit Committee on the FY21 audit results.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Once again, my name is Bill Seymour. I'm going to share my screen, which has the presentation that we're going to walk through that represents our required communications under generally accepted auditing standards as well as our firm standards. I wanted to make sure that everybody can see the screen before I get started.
We can see it.
Okay, thank you very much. So we were engaged to perform a variety of audits, the largest being the audit of the county's June 30, 2021 financial statements, performance of the Uniform Guidance Single Audit, that is a federal grants compliance audit, an audit of the 911 system financial results, agreed upon procedures both on the landfill as well as information related to the National Transit Database, and then audits of the employees' retirement system, the retirement savings plan, deferred compensation plan, and the Consolidated Retiree Health Benefits Trust. The review of the Uniform Financial Report, that is where the county puts their financial information into a fit and format that works for the Maryland Department of Legislative Services, as well as working with management on the data collection form, which takes the Uniform Guidance Single Audit and places it into a fit and format for the federal government, as well as review of the statements and the information surrounding the annual comprehensive financial report, and then working with management on a year-round basis as items arise. The results of the audit, we have issued an unmodified opinion, or if you will, clean opinion on all of the financial statements that we have audited, as well as the agreed upon procedures had no findings. Those are the best opinions that we are allowed to issue under generally accepted auditing standards. We have no sight on the single audit. We will be planning to issue that by the end of the month. We're substantially complete with that single audit. We have no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses that we're here to report. As part of the audit, we did not discover any instances of fraud. I would caution, however, that our audit is not a fraud audit. That would be different in scope. However, professional standards are required, and we do maintain a healthy skepticism for fraud, ask questions about it, look for it in the test work that we perform, and from those procedures, we did not discover any instances. As I noted, we noted no material weaknesses in internal controls. Effectively, what that tells us is that the processes and procedures that are in place is set forth by management, how they've designed and operated them during the course of the year. If you were to remove the external audit component from the process, we believe that the processes that are in place, management would create an accurate set of financial statements. We received the full cooperation of management. I want to thank David, want to thank Michael, Yan, everybody across giving us the information, Karen, everything making our job as easy as possible, being available to answer questions. We separately communicated on the ERS system and the Consolidated Retirement Health Benefit Trust. to those governance. Effectively, it's a similar presentation with the exception of diving a little bit deeper into pension and OPEB remaining items. And as part of the audit, we noted no journal entries. There were no adjustments that we proposed as part of the audit. Our audit approach is a risk-based audit approach. Kind of in summary, the idea is what we take is to identify where the material risks of misstatement are, look at how management has designed and operated those controls during the course of the year, performance of various analytics, as well as looking at the accounting principles that were applied, performance of substantive testing, confirmations, and the like, and then closing with our audit standard required items, as well as finalizing the reporting. And this whole process is designed to give us enough evidence, audit evidence, that we can issue that unmodified, or if you will, clean opinion on the financial statements. COVID-19, during the course of our audit work, we looked at this, wanting not necessarily all of these items direct specifically to the county, but these are items that have been and will continue to be risks. One of the items that we talk a lot about is looking at the increased IT risk, the increased risk of external fraud that can occur as a result of just having a more decentralized workforce as a result of remote working that occurred there. During the course of the audit, we did a hybrid of remote and on-site audit procedures. Really, form over substance. We were still able to communicate, get the same information, perform the same walkthroughs, do everything like an audit would be prior to the pandemic. Just some of those we did in the form of Zoom or Teams meetings that would be there. As part of our audit, we assess both the control environment as well as specific items. The control environment, we follow the COSO model of controls. That is the 5 interrelated controls that make it up, functions that make up the environment, being the environment, risk assessment, the specific control activities, how those control activities are monitored, and then how kind of information and communication flows to the organization. As you can see here, our assessment in all cases here was effective. We also look at key processes and the underlying functions and our test work to go through those related items. You can see here on the next couple of pages, everything that we found we thought was effective. Had we had issues in these areas, we would use terms like suggested improvements or significant deficiency or material weakness. As I mentioned earlier, we have none of those to discuss with you today. As part of the single audit, or the Uniform Guidance Single Audit, we're auditing 7 major programs for the county, which represent about 76% of the total federal awards. The county qualifies as a low-risk entity, so the bare minimum requirement is actually 20%, but you can see we're significantly in excess of that based upon the risk of the individual programs. We're specifically working on coronavirus relief funding, as well as ARPA, American Recovery Plan Act. There, as I mentioned, we have no material weaknesses. We're wrapping up the finalization of our test work, and we expect to issue that single audit by the end of this month. That report has an automatic extension that's been granted to June 30th. The non-extended timeline is March 31st. We're working with management to be able to issue by the end of the month, so we're not looking at that extension so that we can get done timely in kind of a normal course of items. The remaining portion of our presentation goes through our specific required communications. This is our opportunity really to kind of, if you will, give you a chance to look underneath the hood of an audit. When we go through an audit, we could have lots of areas that are just barely acceptable, whether they're ultra conservative or ultra aggressive. We can have areas that lack authoritative guidance. We could have had, disagreements with management, any of those things that we would kind of call negative items. We have none of those items to report to you today. As I mentioned earlier, we received the full cooperation of management. Management is able to answer our questions timely, getting us information, kind of the, when we look at, sometimes when you go through and you do an audit, you ask a question and it takes management a while to get back to you, and you wonder if they're trying to create an answer to make a question go away. We did not have that with during the course of the audit. When we ask questions, we're getting our answers back in a very quick and reasonable time that would be there. And additionally, as management's going throughout the year, I mentioned earlier, kind of the open lines of communication, we're able to tackle transactions when they're occurring, kind of working with management as they're working through, ARPA and kind of CARES and the fluidity of the regulations that are coming from the federal government. And as I mentioned, it's a very good and open working relationship that allowed us to be able to be signed off timely. As I mentioned earlier, no audit adjustments, didn't discover fraud, no material weaknesses, no disagreements, no serious difficulties. We did receive a management representation letter as part of the audit. We'd be happy to provide you a copy of that. There was nothing really abnormal in there. And, as part of our, we're independent and we perform no non-attest services for that. And then we have included our contact information from the entire engagement team. At the committee's needs, be happy to meet with you at any time to answer any questions or provide information as relates to the audit. And I'll stop there to see if there's any questions that I can answer from the committee. And once again, I want to thank everybody for their time today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Seymour. If we can take off the presentation so I can see the screen and make sure nobody's raising their hand. So let me just make a couple of general comments. The first is, I've been county government for 16 years now, and I'm just consistently impressed with the standards that we set forth here in our community and the hard work that goes into ensuring those standards are consistently met. And I really just so appreciate our Office of Finance in particular, as well as all of the corresponding county agencies and also our legislative staff who work tirelessly to make sure that we stay on track. These presentations are never long because thank God they don't have to be. You all make this work very easy for us. And we can never, however, take for granted the work and the fiscal responsibility that goes into ensuring the checks and balances that we have here in our community are at the highest possible levels and standards. And the fact that this audit, once again, is clean and concise and consistent with those past practices is a testament to everyone's work. So just wanted to make those general comments. And I know Councilmember Navarro, who is unfortunately cycling off this council by virtue of term limits, has consistently been making those comments as well. And I used to work for a guy who really appreciated this, and I am so fortunate and feel fortunate that our county has continued that through this administration as well. So colleagues, do you have any questions or thoughts or reflections that you'd like to share before turning it back over to central staff to see if there's anything else that we'd like to cover today? No. Blaise, what more do we need to do here? Is there a vote? Is there another discussion point or item that we need to work through?
Yeah, the second item we have is the renewal of the audit contract for SB and Company. As it's written in the contract, SB can request a price increase for the third year of the contract, equal to the Consumer Price Index. And SB did that, and they requested a 6% increase, an increase of $16,191. And it's in the packet on page 5, and the amendment is also on page 72. So I recommend approval of the contract amendment.
I believe there are no issues among my colleagues, so without objection, we will accept that staff recommendation. Great. As you all were giving the presentation, I got to be honest, I kept thinking to myself, maybe I should hire you guys to do an audit of my 13-year-old cell phone records. Pretty comprehensive. Could use some help there. Well, thank you all very much. I believe that closes out our discussion point this morning. Again, it's short because you all make it easy for us to be able to move forward. We have great faith in this process, as all of our residents should. So with that, our audit committee session this morning is adjourned. Thank you all so much.
Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.